They were sent to play by the creek. 33 years later, a construction crew found what the family had been hiding. The red t-shirt lay flat against the earth, arms spread wide like a scarecrow without its frame. Beside it, a striped polo shirt and a small flower dress, arranged with the same deliberate care. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just 3 sets of children's clothes laid out in perfect formation on the forest floor, as if their young owners had simply vanished into the summer air of 1992. The Hartwell family reunion had been a tradition for 47 years, held every August at the same sprawling property in rural Cascade County, Oregon. 3 generations would gather at the 800-acre compound that great-grandfather Edmund Hartwell had carved from Douglas fir wilderness in 1945. By 1992, the family had grown to include 53 members across 4 states, all converging on the main lodge with its wraparound porches and view of Whisper Creek. Tommy Hartwell, 8, had his grandfather's stubborn chin and his mother's restless energy. He lived for these reunions, the games of hide and seek that lasted for hours, the midnight raids on the kitchen, the feeling of belonging to something bigger than his quiet life in Portland. His cousin Marcus, 11, shared the same dark hair and quick grin. Where Tommy was impulsive, Marcus was calculating, the natural leader who organized the younger cousins into elaborate adventures. Sarah, 9, was the bridge between them, gentle enough to calm Tommy's tantrums, brave enough to keep up with Marcus's schemes. Her flower dress had been her mother's choice that morning. Yellow daisies on blue cotton that she'd complained made her look too much like a girl. The trouble started during the Saturday afternoon softball game. Tommy had been caught cheating, moving the bases closer when adults weren't watching. Marcus had defended his younger cousin with the fierce loyalty that ran in Hartwell blood, escalating into a shouting match with Uncle Dale. Sarah had tried to mediate, her small voice lost in the chaos of adult anger. When accusations flew and tempers flared, the 3 cousins found themselves banished from the main festivities. "Go play by the creek," Aunt Linda had snapped, her face flushed with embarrassment and wine. "Stay out of trouble for once." The creek ran along the eastern border of the property, a gentle ribbon of water that had carved a shallow gorge through granite and moss. The children knew it well. They'd caught crawfish there, built dams, and shared secrets on its sun-warmed rocks. It seemed the perfect place to wait out the adult drama. That was 2:47 p.m. on August 15th, 1992. Tommy's digital watch would later be found still ticking, its display frozen at 4:23 p.m. By dinner time, concern began to creep through the family gathering. The 3 cousins had missed the barbecue, an impossibility for children who could smell hot dogs from a mile away. Uncle Jim hiked down to the creek first, calling their names into the Douglas fir canopy. He found their shoes lined up neatly on a flat boulder. Tommy's grass-stained sneakers, Marcus's hiking boots, Sarah's white sandals with the butterfly buckles. The shoes sat there like a riddle. Why would 3 children remove their footwear to play in a creek barely ankle-deep? By 8 p.m., the entire family had joined the search. Flashlight beams danced through the underbrush as voices called out across the ravine. "Tommy! Marcus! Sarah!" The creek gurgled its endless response, revealing nothing. Cascade County Sheriff's Department arrived at 9:15 p.m. Deputy Angela Morrison, a 20-year veteran who'd worked dozens of missing person cases, noted the methodical arrangement of the shoes immediately. "Kids don't usually coordinate their shoe placement," she told the family. "Someone organized this." The Oregon State Police Search and Rescue Unit deployed at dawn. The terrain seemed forgiving: no cliffs, no deep water, no obvious hazards that could claim 3 children simultaneously. But the Douglas fir forest was dense, its understory thick with sword, fern, and salmonberry that could swallow small figures completely. Bloodhounds picked up the children's scent trail from the shoes, following it upstream for roughly 200 yards before losing it on a granite outcropping. Thermal imaging helicopters swept grid patterns through the canopy, their heat sensors finding deer, raccoons, and the warm bodies of searchers, but no sign of the missing cousins. On the second day, searchers found Tommy's red t-shirt. It lay in a small clearing about half a mile from the creek, spread flat against the forest floor with unnatural precision. The fabric showed no tears, no dirt stains, no sign of being removed hastily or under duress. Beside it, Marcus's striped polo shirt and Sarah's flower dress were arranged with the same deliberate care. 3 garments laid out like paper dolls, their sleeves and skirts positioned as if invisible children still occupied them. FBI agent Patricia Chen, called in to consult on the case's unusual elements, photographed the clothing arrangement from every angle. "This is staged," she told Sheriff Morrison. "Someone wanted us to find these exactly as they are, but staged by whom? And where were the children?" The Hartwell case consumed national attention for 6 weeks in the fall of 1992. Television crews camped outside the family compound. Psychics offered theories about alien abduction. Conspiracy theorists suggested the children had been sacrificed in some rural cult ritual. The FBI interviewed every family member, every guest, every neighbor within a 20-mile radius. The investigation revealed family tensions that cut deeper than a softball game dispute. There were whispers about Uncle Dale's drinking, about Aunt Linda's prescription pill dependency, about old grudges and inheritance disputes that stretched back generations. But no evidence pointed to family involvement in the disappearances. Polygraph tests yielded inconclusive results. Alibis checked out. The last verified sighting remained Aunt Linda's frustrated directive: "Go play by the creek." By Christmas 1992, the FBI had exhausted its leads. The case file grew thick with dead ends, false sightings, crank calls, and theories that led nowhere. The 3 cousins had vanished as completely as morning mist, leaving only their carefully arranged clothes to mark their passage through the world. The Hartwell family never held another reunion. The compound was sold in 1995 to a timber company. The new owners posted no trespassing signs and let the buildings fall into genteel decay. Whisper Creek continued its eternal conversation with the Stones, keeping whatever secrets it had learned about 3 children who walked into its embrace on a summer afternoon. Tommy's parents divorced in 1994. Marcus's mother moved to California and changed her name. Sarah's father started drinking heavily and died in a car accident in 1998. The extended family scattered like dandelion seeds, carrying their shared trauma to distant corners of the country. Detective Morrison, promoted to captain by 2000, kept the case file on her desk for 23 years. She interviewed hikers who claimed to have seen child-sized figures in the forest. She followed up on reports of abandoned campsites containing children's belongings. She never stopped believing that someone, somewhere, knew what had happened to the 3 cousins. In 2015, she passed the file to Detective Ray Santos, a younger officer with fresh eyes and new technology. Santos submitted DNA samples from the children's clothes to updated databases. He cross-referenced their disappearance with similar cases across the Pacific Northwest. He created digital reconstructions of what the cousins might look like as adults. Nothing yielded answers. The forest had swallowed 3 children whole, and 30 years of searching had produced only questions. Then came the phone call that changed everything. March 12th, 2025. Northwest Construction Company was expanding Highway 26 through Cascade County, widening the roadway to accommodate increased traffic to the ski resorts. The project required clearing a strip of old-growth forest that had been protected for decades until a change in county zoning made development possible. Heavy machinery operator Jeff Kowalski was clearing Douglas fir stumps when his excavator bucket struck something unusual. Not the granite bedrock he expected, but hollow-sounding wood that splintered under pressure. He shut down the machine and climbed from his cab to investigate. Buried 3 feet beneath the forest floor, perfectly preserved by the Pacific Northwest's acidic soil, lay a wooden crate the size of a small coffin. Sheriff's deputies arrived within an hour. The crate measured 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, perfectly constructed with dovetail joints and sealed with paraffin wax. A brass nameplate on the lid read, "Family Archive, E. Hartwell, 1992, Edmund Hartwell, the family patriarch who had died in January 1993, 5 months after his great-grandchildren disappeared. FBI agent Marcus Webb, yes, named after one of the missing children, a coincidence that still haunted him, supervised the opening of the crate. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth and plastic, were items that investigators immediately recognized. Tommy's digital watch, still displaying 4:23 p.m. Marcus's wallet with $2 bills and a library card. Sarah's butterfly hair clip, the one her mother said she never removed. But there was more. Documents, photographs, and a handwritten journal in Edmund Hartwell's distinctive script. The journal contained 47 pages of meticulous entries, beginning August 16th, 1992, the day after the children vanished. The first entry read, "God forgive me. I found them before the others did. They were sleeping by the old mine shaft, curled together like puppies. So peaceful, so beautiful. I couldn't let them be taken away." According to Edmund's journal, he had discovered the 3 cousins on the morning after their disappearance, exploring an abandoned gold mine on a remote section of the property. The children had ventured far from Whisper Creek, drawn by Marcus's sense of adventure and the allure of hidden treasure. The mine shaft, sealed in 1952 after a cave-in, had partially reopened due to winter erosion. The children had crawled inside to explore, not understanding that the old timbers were rotted, the air toxic with decades of accumulated gases. Edmund found them unconscious, overcome by carbon monoxide and methane. By the time he reached them, it was too late. The journal detailed his panicked reasoning. If he reported the discovery, the family would be destroyed by guilt and blame. The reunion location would become a crime scene. The children's parents would face investigation for negligent supervision. The Hartwell name, respected in the community for 50 years, would be forever associated with tragedy. So Edmund made a choice that would haunt him for the remaining months of his life. He removed the children's bodies from the mine, cleaned them gently, and dressed them in their sleeping clothes. He buried them in a grove of ancient cedars at the highest point of the property, where wildflowers bloomed every spring and the view stretched to the Cascade Mountains. Then he staged the scene by the creek. He arranged their clothes to suggest abduction, knowing that mystery was kinder than truth. Better for the family to wonder than to know that 3 children had died exploring a hazard that should have been properly sealed decades earlier. The journal's final entries described Edmund's deteriorating health through the fall of 1992. Cancer, diagnosed just weeks after the children's disappearance, ate away at his body as surely as guilt consumed his mind. He detailed the location of the burial site with surveyor's precision, drew maps, and sealed everything in the time capsule he had buried along the future highway expansion route. "Someday," he wrote, "when I am gone and the family has healed, someone will need to know the truth. The children deserve to rest with proper prayers, not hidden away like shameful secrets." Part 6 Resolution and Reflection. The excavation of the burial site took place on a gray April morning, 33 years after the cousins' disappearance. FBI technicians, forensic anthropologists, and family members who had traveled from across the country watched as 3 small forms were gently removed from the cedar grove. The children's remains confirmed Edmund's account. Their bones showed no signs of violence, no evidence of foul play. Toxicology tests, miraculously preserved by the unique soil chemistry, revealed carbon monoxide poisoning, consistent with mine gas exposure. The Hartwell family faced a mixture of relief and rage at the revelation. Relief that the children hadn't suffered, hadn't been victims of predators or family violence. Rage that their grandfather had stolen 33 years of grieving, of closure, of truth. Tommy's mother, now in her 60s, stood at the burial site and spoke to reporters. "I understand why he did it. I don't forgive him for it, but I understand." The 3 cousins were laid to rest together in Cascade Memorial Cemetery, their shared headstone reading simply, "Tommy, Marcus, and Sarah forever playing." The service drew over 300 attendees, including strangers who had followed the case for decades. The abandoned mine shaft was permanently sealed with concrete. The grove where Edmund had hidden the children became a small memorial park, with benches and a playground where other children could play safely. Detective Morrison, now retired, attended the funeral in her dress uniform. She had carried the case for 23 years, never knowing how close she had come to the truth. The burial site was less than a mile from the main search area, hidden in a section of forest that seemed too remote, too pristine, to hide such a terrible secret. The FBI's investigation concluded that Edmund Hartwell had acted alone in concealing the deaths and staging the disappearance. No charges were filed, the statute of limitations had expired, and the primary perpetrator had died decades earlier. But the case raised troubling questions about the lengths people will go to protect family reputation and the weight of secrets carried across generations. The Highway 26 expansion project was completed in October 2025, but a section of forest remains protected as the Hartwell Children's Memorial Grove. The old family compound has been converted into a summer camp for disadvantaged youth, funded by donations from people who followed the case and wanted something positive to emerge from tragedy. The original investigation files are now housed at the FBI Academy in Quantico, used as a teaching case about the importance of ground-penetrating radar in missing person searches and the psychological factors that complicate family-involved cases. Agent Webb, who supervised the 2025 investigation, reflected on the case's resolution. "We always assume the worst in missing children, cases, predators, trafficking, violence. Sometimes the truth is simpler and more heartbreaking. 3 kids were being kids, exploring where they shouldn't have been. A grandfather made an impossible choice to protect his family from guilt, and 33 years of questions finally got answered." The case has inspired changes in mining safety regulations, requiring property owners to conduct annual inspections of abandoned shafts and report potential hazards to county authorities. It has also sparked discussions about family trauma, the burden of secrets, and the complex ethics of protecting loved ones from painful truths. For the surviving Hartwell family members, the discovery brought an end to decades of wondering and what-ifs. They know now that Tommy, Marcus, and Sarah didn't suffer. They weren't taken by strangers or hurt by someone they trusted. They were simply children being children, exploring a hidden corner of their world, victims of an accident that their great-grandfather tried desperately to transform into something more bearable. The creek still runs along what was once the eastern border of the Hartwell property. On summer afternoons, when the light filters through Douglas fir branches and catches the water just right, some visitors to the Memorial Grove swear they can hear the echo of children's laughter carried on the mountain wind. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Maybe it's the forest's way of remembering. Maybe some places hold on to the joy as carefully as they keep the secrets. The 3 cousins are together now, as they always preferred to be. Their story has ended, but the questions it raises about family, truth, and the price of protection continue to echo through the lives of everyone it touched. In the end, perhaps that's what matters most, not how they vanished, but how they're remembered. Not the 33 years of mystery, but the 8, 9, and 11 years of laughter that came before. Not the secret their great-grandfather carried to his grave, but the love that made him carry it. They went to play by the creek. They never came home. But now, finally, they're at peace.